And then there are four. It's conference championship week, and we'll prepare a full cash and GPP lineup on FanDuel, and it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
Michael, once again, this is why I love the NFL. I think this is, at least in my memory, the single best playoff weekend with 4 games that I have ever seen, topped off by one of the best playoff games ever with the Chiefs and the Bills.
Yeah, 4 walk-offs. What else can you ask for? A couple, almost 4 upsets. And that Chiefs Buffalo game was for the ages. I really feel bad for Josh Allen, who had a fantastic game, but it was so much fun to watch. He's got to be really proud of the performance.
Yeah, and I just had to give it up to him and Mahomes. It was like whoever had the ball last. And a quick plug for both you and I, at the beginning of the season, we said the 2 Super Bowl teams were going to be the Chiefs and the Rams. Let's see if that happens. We'll be able to report on that next week and take a few bows if, in fact, the Rams and Chiefs make it. Michael, 4 very interesting teams left to build NFL DFS lineups, and let's do it. Let's go into the FanDuel studio and prepare a cash lineup and then GPP. All right, championship weekend, just 4 teams playing, 2 games. The real high-scoring game is projected to be the Chiefs and Bengals. That's 54 over and under. The other game, Niners and the Rams, are 46 over and under. You know what my favorite sitcom, Michael, is? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Hilarious. But you know what? It is not sunny in LA. As far as Sonny Michel, he's old news. It is old news. This backfield is all Cam Akers. And as a home favorite, 25 implied total. What is FanDuel doing? Why is he only $6,200? I'm going to guess he had a bad game last week as far as production, but he was facing that really tough Tampa Bay Buck run defense. The guy out-carried Sonny Michel 24-1. So, this is clearly his backfield. I know he had some fumble issues. He was the starter at the beginning of the season. It's still his backfield. I'm not worried about his fumbles last week. I think he's going to come big. We both think the Rams are going to win this week, right?
Yeah, I do, definitely. And I agree. I think that this is a little bit of a punishment for putting the ball on the ground, a little bit of concern that the Rams may shift gears, but I think they can't afford to. I think that they need to not only have him get the similar number of touches this week, but he needs to get involved more in the passing game. He's just so explosive. And I think that's going to be important against to break the Niners curse that these Rams have, 6 consecutive losses.
Michael, can you beat that? A running back that is $6,200 who's a home favorite? Can you beat that?
Well, you teed me up nicely. And I know it's tempting to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire at $5,700 because he's a little bit cheaper, but nobody looks more explosive than McKinnon does on that game. I think he should be even more expensive than Mixon on the other side of the ball. He is going to get involved in this game. He needs to get involved. I think this game is going to be a little closer than folks think. And he's also, getting the carries as well. And so I like his upside much more than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I think there's still some risk that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is fresh back. So I think similar.
He was on 70% of the snaps with Clyde Edwards-Helaire playing 70% of the snaps. And I still believe at its heart, the Chiefs are a passing team, and McKinnon is much better in the passing game. So I'm just thrilled to get him. They have a freaking implied total of 30.5. And again, $6,200. I don't get it, Michael. I don't get what we can do with this lineup by having 2 home favorites, primary ball carriers at only $6,200. Love it. Love it as a starting place for our lineup. All right, so let's go to wide receiver. Michael, I'll let you talk about any wide receiver that you may like.
Well, here we are in the playoffs. It is a little bit harder to come by bargains with big upside. And so even though he's the most expensive guy on the slate, there is a reason why that is. Cooper Kupp, he's 9,700. To break the curse, Cooper Kupp has to get heavily involved in this game. You saw what he could do when the game was on the line, when you knew that a deep ball was the only thing you couldn't give away. Cooper Kupp redeems himself from his fumble early in the game, ends the game with 183 yards, could have been another touchdown. He looks as good as ever. He's the number one fantasy athlete right now. Got to have him in your lineup.
Yeah, and in a cash game where you want a high floor, the consistency that he has shown this year has just been incredible. These Rams want to get back to the Super Bowl, and I can't imagine a situation where Stafford isn't going to rely heavily on his favorite target and his safety valve, Cooper Kupp.
Can you save us some money?
Yeah, well, how about, can you imagine getting a guy in the highest scoring game with an implied total of 30 coming off a defense that just allowed a secondary receiver to get 4 TDs and nearly 200 yards against them? Did I tee that up pretty well, Michael? Who am I talking about? Let's get T. Higgins in the lineup. And I know that the big play receiver on the Bengals is obviously Jamar Chase. But except for the Las Vegas game, this guy has been super consistent and strong this year. And I think the game script is going to be, they're going to have to throw plenty against the Chiefs to stay with them. And $6,400 is just a ridiculous bargain.
Yeah, and if you watched that Buffalo Chiefs game closely, you saw that they took Diggs out of the game. And Buffalo took what they gave them. I think that's something that we might see again. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure if Matthew's going to play after the concussion that he had. That certainly impacts the defensive backfield for the Chiefs. But I think T. Higgins could be a big beneficiary, like we saw last week with Buffalo when Diggs was getting that coverage. 29th
ranked pass defense. Gotta love it.
So Brandon Ayuk with the Niners, we're not sure how healthy that Deebo Samuel is going to be. This game is not going to be the defensive struggle that we saw with the Niners and the Packers. There's going to be a few more points put on the board, even though these are both strong defenses. I really think the Niners need to get him involved if they're going to compete in this game. I know it's kind of hard to hear that when they've won the last 6 games, but I'm a little bit concerned about both Deebo and Kittle. If you watch that game closely, they were both pretty banged up and will be banged up coming into this game.
What the Niners want to do is they want to run the ball a whole lot, control the clock, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that against this Ram defense. And if you're going to have to force Garoppolo to throw the ball a little bit more, and Brandon Ayuk is going to be a part of that. Last week, he did not catch a ball, and he was targeted on the first series and didn't get another target the rest of the game. And that's the reason, folks, that FanDuel is giving him away at $5,600. And I just think you have to have faith that he is going to bounce back from that. The last time these two teams played in LA, he topped over 100 yards. And when we move to tight end, Michael, I can't control myself here. We have the money to pull the trigger. And when I'm looking at Travis Kelce, I look at a situation where he's in the great environment. He's a home favorite, 30.5 implied total against a defense that's dead last against tight ends and is below average just in general against the pass. And oh, by the way, it's Travis Kelce. It's Travis freaking Kelce. and explain to me, Michael, why he dropped in price from 8,200 to 7,700 on FanDuel. So this guy's a bargain. Again, like I said with Cooper Kupp, the great thing about him, especially come playoffs, he just provides you a tremendous floor. I just do not see a situation where he doesn't at least pay off this price. And he also gives you that upside where you can pay off more.
Yeah, he's kind of the Cooper Kupp go-to guy for Mahomes when the game is on the line. We saw that. I think that's a really interesting, thing about the playoffs is you really see who the go-to targets are. And Kelsey finds a way to get open even when he's double teamed.
All right, so we're gonna get Kelsey in our lineup. That spent some money, no question about that. So we kind of look at where we stand, Michael. We have a little over $6,000, a quarterback, a flex play, and a defense. I'll let you decide who you'd like to talk about. You want to talk about the flex or the quarterback?
Let's go to the quarterback. If you look at the pricing here, I'll give you a second to get there. Yeah, you see that Patrick Mahomes is the most expensive. Not surprising because the upside, look what he's done the last couple of weeks. Joe Burrow had more throwing yards than Patrick Mahomes did this week. He just didn't get the ball into the end zone the same because of the matchup situation. I don't think he quite does the same damage with his legs, but he does do quarterback sneaks here and there. And I just think Cincinnati is going to have to score a lot of points to stay in this game. I think they're going to do that. Don't forget they beat the Chiefs not that long ago in week 16, right?
Yeah, he threw for over 400 yards and 4 TDs. That's all.
Yeah, and so the upside is huge there, and it allows us to save a few dollars to make sure that we're not going with bargain basement in the next two positions.
Yeah, I think it was a true fluke last week that he threw for so many yards and didn't get a touchdown pass. They only got one touchdown. It was a rushing touchdown. They settled for 4 field goals. And if Cincinnati thinks that they can beat Kansas City by kicking field goals, they are woefully mistaken. So I think and we talked about it when we talked about T. Higgins. Kansas City can be exposed in the passing game. We saw that last week. We've seen it most of the year. So, would I like Pat Mahomes? Absolutely. But we can save $1,300 by dropping down to Joe Burrow. So that's what we're going to do. Because in general, I had the expectation that, Elijah Mitchell gets snaked by Deebo Samuel. So he's kind of maybe in a share role. No, he's not. He's gotten an average of the last 7 weeks of 25 touches. What can you ask for more? He's a bell cow running back. If you're getting 25 touches a game, that's bell cow category. And we're getting a bell cow on in it for $7,000. I really like that. And this is a guy in his rookie season, counting the postseason, who has over 1,100 yards rushing. Michael, for that, shouldn't he get his own? Shouldn't they have a picture of him by now? What's up with this?
Yeah, no, exactly. And let's not forget, Deebo he took that shot to the knee late in the game. You got to believe that there's some sensitivity there. I think his touches will be a little more limited. Obviously, it's win or go home, and so they won't pair him back completely. But I just think that bodes well for Elijah Mitchell. I think he's going to get his touches once again.
We take a look and we have $3,700 left, which leaves us only 2 defenses. We could pick the Bengals and just have $500 to spend on popcorn, but we're not doing that. I'm happy, Michael, that we can get a home favorite, a 7-point favorite. So game script wise, lines makers and both you and I expect Kansas City to be up in this game. So I think good things can happen here for this Kansas City defense and at least giving us a decent floor.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important to keep an eye on Tyrann Mathieu. He makes a huge difference for that Chiefs defense. But I'm not sure there's anyone that I like more. Perhaps the Rams, but they're priced a lot higher. This is, I think, the pick this week, especially at this price.
All right, so that is our cash lineup. Michael and I are super excited about our GPP lineup, so we're going to show you that right now. All right, here is our GPP lineup. Of course, when we're doing GPP, what we're looking for is a very high ceiling. We need a lineup that has the chance to completely go off. And of course, what we need to do is attack the really high scoring game this week, 54 over and under the Cincinnati-Kansas City game. So on Kansas City's side, we've got Pat Mahomes going to Jerick McKinnon and Tyreek Hill. Michael, two guys heavily involved in the passing game, so they correlate well to Mahomes, and two guys that can definitely go off for big games.
Yeah, and running it back with Jamar Chase, who has the most upside on the Bengals side of the ball. So, yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill, you saw what he could do, even in a situation where he was basically blanket coverage to pull off that touchdown towards the end of the regulation. I mean, it just shows he's a special talent. He has a ceiling like no other. Yeah, we had to take Cooper Kupp out to make that happen, but that's the upside that you get.
We get his running mate, Odell Beckham Jr., who has a lot of talent in his own right. And if they choose to try to really double team Cooper Kupp, Beckham has the ability to have a big game.
Yeah, and I think the same thing goes with George Kittle. I think George Kittle was used appropriately in that Packer game. He has a lot of upside. He's been being used as a decoy a little bit, but I like the upside that he has as well. And we've already talked about Cam Akers, so I think that's your slate.
And our defense, man, we were just $300 short of getting the LA Rams. So I have no problem if you want to fiddle with this lineup and to be able to get the LA Rams defense so it can be paired in a stack with Cam Akers, because we're very high on the Rams. We think that they're going to win and control this particular game. But the Niners defense is a strong defense, and Stafford has made mistakes in the past. Any final comments about this GPP lineup?
No, I mean, look at the upside that we have here. I really think this week you got to kind of go with Mahomes to Tyreek in terms of the GPP lineup. So the fact that we were able to do that and have Jamar Chase and Higgins running it back and still keeping Kittle and Beckham in the lineup is pretty cool to me.
Until next week, take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Stay safe.
Check out one of these videos that are currently on the screen.